Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma, and coming to you here in primetime, late-night type TV with a one Mr. Brian E. Roach, bringing you the black and gold standard and Pittsburgh Steelers coverage, of which I'm not sure what the hell we just witnessed, Brian. It's good to see you, buddy. At least I know you didn't have a heart attack or any type of cardiac arrest.
I very well might have. I don't know. I think I'm actually just a zombie at this point. I'm pretty sure I died at least 3 different times in that game.
This is yet another one where sometime in the third quarter, I'm like, man, this is really fun playing on my phone while there's something else going on in the background. You were tweeting at somebody that was like, hey, I should watch some Three Stooges reruns. And I was like, you know what? I've never really gotten into it's not, it just hasn't been something I've been getting into. Maybe I'll look this up. Maybe even watching the Adam West Batmans might have been a better deal. And then all of a sudden, like, what the heck happened? That's why I'm saying I don't even know what you cover here. There's a few different things, a few different narratives going on. But before I say that, I was ready. I was in my jammies, and Brian says, no, we got to do this now. So you owe it all to this man right here for keeping me up late at night. But if you would like some pajamas like this.
I was going to say, after that, how the hell? I'm not going to sleep tonight, period, probably.
Oh, I know, man.
How the hell can I sleep?
We were just discussing off air. I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I could consume some more adult beverages to soothe my wounds, but there may not be enough. I will say this much. By the way, I didn't finish my thought. This was...
Finish your pajama thought.
I promised FOCO out there, FOCO, if you're looking for it before the holidays, they have pajamas for the whole family. They have different sets just like this, and they have like flannel ones, and you may have seen me tweet one with my daughter. She's 8, and she has like a set that says Little Steelers with some flannel pants. If you don't hate the team to death by now, and you ride or die like myself and Brian do here with the Steelers, then... check that out. I owed this to them, as they sent this over for the kid, and I was like, hey, you know what? Check this out. Not too bad for myself, but that's about it for. I know it's a little cheap plug, and I'm trying to really not think about what happened here. I mean, 6-1 Steelers. About 3 quarters through this, Brian, I was thinking about some of the things we said about a path to maybe making the postseason, and there are 7 spots. And I was thinking, okay, now how many games are there left? And I'm starting to do the math because I approached this. I'm not sure you approached it the same way I did, but I approached this as they were set up for failure since I saw the schedule come out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's no question. Thursday night games are, it is late. I'm about to drop some bad words that you'd have to beep out, so I will try not to.
Please,
but
makes my job harder, and then I stay up later putting the show out.
Yes, is absolutely greed-driven baloney. It's not good for the players. It's not good for competition, especially if you are going to make a conference game on a Sunday afternoon against the absolute, most brutal matchup that usually ever occurs between these two teams. And then make them go on. No, it's malarkey. There you go. How about that? Shenanigans.
There's someone out there. There's someone out there that's going to say you're making excuses for the team. Go back, find myself, me and the Professor Zach Meckler, who will be making a return here shortly. I have it on good notice. It's like it might be a 12 days of Christmas type thing. Where, hey, we should do something like that. 12 days of Steelers. Oh, boy, that could be fun. We'll have to come up with some creative stuff. We're going to need something. There's like a little mini-buy coming here. So, but anyways, when we did all of those AFC North previews and the schedule breakdown and everything like that, we did those shows. We repeatedly talked about how the games that follow playing the Ravens are bad enough, let alone Thursday Night Football, let alone on the road. And I was like... somehow they still made this entertaining, but that's pretty much how this came out to a 29-0 lead jumpstart for the Vikings, aside from a lot of other bad football that occurred. So not necessarily, it sounds like you're making excuses, but my expectations weren't at the same level as a lot of other people. And into the third quarter, I was just like, there was a spot, I think, right before halftime where I said, hey, if they get some points on the board, they get the ball back to start the second half, hey, you might have something to work with here. And then it was like, man, no, this is just so bad. So bad.
Let me just say, expectations were not sky high. I agree with you on that. But even you, with low expectations, have to admit your expectations at the low level were not even met. You didn't expect 17-yard wide holes for Dalvin Cook to run through. You didn't expect 30-yard bursts and 20-yard bursts at every left turn. You didn't expect 115 yards in like the first quarter or whatever it was. Ridiculousness. You certainly didn't expect what we actually got. You expected a letdown. You expected a slow start, but not that bad.
I got one more I didn't expect for you. I didn't expect Dalvin Cook to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different too. Now I still gave some props to Madison. He still had a couple nice runs, but nowhere near the damage that Cook was putting out there. There was some stuff. People are like, "Well, Minnesota plays a short week too," and they just lost. So you have an emotional high for the Steelers.
But Dalvin Cook didn't play last week. He's fresh.
Correct. Fresh legs, even with the hurt shoulder. Anthony Barr didn't play. P2, Patrick Peterson didn't play. So they have a couple of guys there that actually were fresh and ready to go. On the other hand, TJ Watt now with the groin. Alex Highsmith ends up leaving this game. And you were already scraping that. Let me tell you, Montravius Adams, they finally got him out there. For some reason, they weren't using a nose tackle like at the very beginning of this game. And they were just getting gashed there. And then when he comes out there, he's eating up some blockers. And that's what you needed. But I will also say Devin Bush early on. Devin Bush redeems himself a little bit later in this game. Not only a little tip pass, but I felt he was filling his gaps in his assignments a lot better because he had no idea where he was going in the beginning of the game from what I was seeing.
Not
and
at
he
all.
was still getting that second level of offensive lineman on him, which we had been talking about, and missed tackles. But I felt as the game progressed, it was like, I don't know, maybe he's turning the corner. We'll see if he can start to do what he was doing third quarter, fourth quarter a little more consistently. I'm not going to still say he was pre-injury Devin Bush by any means, but early on I was like, man, take this thing out back and, put it out of its misery for the whole defense, not just Devin Bush. Just don't take that the wrong way, but it's just it was just so bad. And it's, we've talked about at the same time how it's not the guys you expect out there. I'm like, when you got Tuska and Taco, this isn't good. Scrap it, like I said, out back there, throw it out. So.
I'm going to give props to those. Yeah, I'm going to go give props to those second level backup players. I mean, you got Highsmith, like you said, Highsmith's out, TJ's out, and yes, there were moronic, fans tweeting that TJ has been hurt ever since he got paid, and therefore he's, no, just stop, But I don't even want you to start on it. Just stop. It's nonsense.
Did you see the little Twitter rant war I got with the one guy from the one website and his burner account? I'm not going to mention it, but if you saw it, it's a certain rankings site, and he used a bunch of words like overrated with TJ Watt. It's like, how do I say TJ Watt is overrated without saying he's overrated? And somebody was, I know they're not going to watch this. They called into question our content, our followers, what we put out there, my education and my reading ability. And it's like, hey, look, dude, I happen to have a bachelor's in I'm an English major here. I pick out these words, and you're trying to tell me I'm like some simpleton. This is exactly what this guy was trying to say. He's trying to say, this guy shouldn't be rated this high. I think he should be garbage, just like I rated Minkah Fitzpatrick earlier in the year, like 31st out of 32 safeties or something ridiculous.
Would a certain Collingsworth have anything to do with that site?
Yes, he would.
There you go. Well, and was it wasn't the individual who sometimes is known as the bartender at Cheers first name Sam.
Yeah, and rhymes with goon. So it was
that guy can kiss all 100 yards of my what.
It kind of surprises me that people are allowed to be employed and have the inflammatory type, like literally go after people and attack them like on Twitter. And it was like, I was far from the only one who had that, but that was just like, that's a whole sidebar to this thing because TJ doesn't get to, it was padding his stats because Myles Garrett got 4.5 sacks on Justin Fields in his first ever start with the Bears early, like in week 2, 3, 4, something in September. Yeah. And it's just like, come on. And I'm not even trying to make a Myles Garrett versus TJ Watt argument. Somebody else pulled that out of their posterior, but I'm sorry. I cut you off with the defensive thing there just because this one got under my skin as much as Double M, M2, M&M with his radio show, the big one.
It's under mine, yeah.
With his, Hawaiian shirts looking like the guy in Jurassic Park who used to play.
I still officially have never, ever listened to his radio show. Not even once.
You're all the better person for it, but it's
I live in Jersey, man. I live in Jersey. We don't get that show here.
It was the same guy who played Newman on Seinfeld that was in Jurassic Park. That's who he reminds me of, as the Jurassic Park character, the way he dresses. And then he'll have a Dilophosaurus middle of him or something. I don't know. That's going to be you.
Madden.
This is what happens when it's late night and some of us have either energy drinks or adult beverages flowing through the veins.
No energy drinks. Blood. Just water.
Water. That's all I got right now.
Anyway,
to rehydrate.
To refocus, my point here was I will give props to the defense. First of all, I'm going to give – I didn't think I was going to give a grown-ass man award in this game, period. In fact, as I tweeted out on Twitter, I had a brand new, all cool, grown-ass man gift that I wanted to use. I was looking forward to using it.
I was looking forward to seeing it.
And I felt like it's never going to happen. It's just I'm never going to do it. And then Najee pulls off the, as Troy Aikman said, the greatest 3-yard run ever to get a first down, and I threw it out. I know it was only a 3-yard run, but at some point, I think there's a couple guys in this game at some point basically just turned around and said, beep it. We're going to do what we're going to do. I'm tired of this nonsense. One of them is Najee Harris. Definitely gets a GAM award for me. Over 100 yards from scrimmage, I think, with receptions and running.
I only had 2 game balls, actually. I had 2.
Yeah.
I'm taking that over this week for Ben on the website. So we're doing a little content strategy in the back rooms with Tina Rivers, and that was one of them. Let's see who your other one is.
My other one, I probably have 6 at this point, but I'm only going to go with 2.
Okay.
And my, because I can't give as much as I'd like to give one to Chase for the second half. The first half makes it impossible, right? Can't do it. Just can't do it. Tale of 2 halves with him. Douche Chase is in the first half because he was an idiot. Played nicely in the second half. I'd like to give it to James Washington, except he only showed up once. So I can't, right? Can't do it. I could give it to Ben because I thought about it, but I'm not. So I'm going back to giving it to the guy that I always want to give it to. Because there were times when the OG GAM just simply said, enough of this crap is enough. That's Cam Hayward. With everybody else out, Cam Hayward blew up some plays in the second half. He basically was the focal point of a lot of what happened. And I give some credit to my I can't say his first name. Say it again.
Akello?
No,
Montrevious.
Montrevious. Mount Vesuvius. Mount Vesuvius Adams.
I like at least Mount Adams.
You'd think
Mount
I was
Adams
drunk.
Sounds good.
And I don't drink at all, so I'm not. But yeah, Montrevious Adams, very nice game once they let him play. Those are my 2 guys though. Cam is just a grown ass man, and Najee gets one for me.
Akello gets one for me because he just balled out, man. I mean, I know that still even being in the right place at the right time, you could drop the ball. We all know that.
But is he that slow?
I don't
Is
know.
he really that slow, man? I was like, what is he? Even my wife was like, why is he so slow?
It's a microcosm of the game. I wanted to look this up because the D was the D off the field very long. I'm not even sure that they were, and I was thinking that might be part of it. But they're still gassed. I mean, I think he played all but 1 or 2 snaps on Sunday, and I know that was his first real action. So for anybody who is an athlete or works out, what's it like when you haven't done a lot of working out and all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm going to go to the gym and lift or I'm going to run. You're sore as bleep.
Booty. What did you say? Booty cheeks. Sore as booty cheeks.
Booty cheeks. Well, the booty cheeks only get sore for, they could be a couple of reasons.
Don't go that. Let's not go down that.
The seats at Heinz Field could be a little more comfortable. We'll put it that way.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, so anyway, no, the referees are usually why the booty cheeks hurt, Brian. and let me tell you, picking up that flag at the end of the game,
I'll give him credit for it.
God, Clete Blakeman and his crew, because they totally botched the Minka call earlier.
I was
screaming about. I'm like, so what can you do any differently there?
I understand. I mean, Aikman said it on the broadcast, and I get it. Bang, bang plays like that, when you're looking at it at full speed, it looks worse than it is. I get it. I also get that they turned around and watched that on the monitor and also knew that they blew it.
Yeah.
Right? And so, this is a rarity. I actually feel that for the most part, this was one of the better officiated games that I've watched. Why? Because they were not the focal point of the game. They could have been.
Wait. When it took them like an hour just to try and spot the ball once or twice.
Well, that wasn't all them. We were fumbling the ball around too. We'll get into this.
We'll get into huddled and talked, and they were like
holding. Had more time.
And it was okay.
I was so ticked in that fourth class drive. The urgency just flat out wasn't there. This is another reason I can't give Chase Claypool one. What the hell is he doing? When you got 1:35 left and you don't have any timeouts, move your big ass. Stop dilly-dallying around. Where was the urgency? You guys have a chance to tie this game up. Where's the urgency? It just didn't exist. You could have that nonsense that they did, that lack of urgency, absolutely cost them at least another play.
Yeah, I was wondering about. Well, one thing leads to another. Let's actually jump right into it, right there, and we can come back. But since it's fresh on our minds, like the whole little point. What are you doing? This reminds me. I know you're not a basketball guy. But
no, I'm not.
And I'm not. I used to be a lot and it's like a lot of people say football isn't the same as they grew up with. Well, the NBA isn't for me either, because you used to have guys beat the snot out of each other like the Pistons and the Bulls, and I was a Cavs guy for a long time, and LeBron finally is trying to bring one to the city there. And there was like this thing with J.R. Smith, and you've seen the meme, and he's reaching out, and he's like, what are you doing? That was Chase Claypool tonight, so that's me saying it to Chase Claypool. He's J.R. Smith. He's totally unaware of his surroundings. There's no timeouts. This isn't college football, dude. I mean, you're not a rookie anymore either. And he's taken so much criticism over the music comment, which I think is just stupid and unfair.
That's just kids. I don't care about that. He's a kid.
Troy Aikman brought that up too, and it's like, okay, Troy, because you played with such saints like Michael Irvin. Come on now. So
and there's nothing. What's the big deal? I mean,
the bigger problem is he posed. His pose is like a half-second pose. No cameraman, I think, caught it, which is okay. So that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
But then Trey Turner comes over and ends up this weird exchange of slapping the ball out of his hand, and that wasted time. So it's like what rolls downhill, and that's exactly what happened there.
Yeah, and Chase just had absolutely a brutal first half. Just brutal. I mean, he made so many bad choices in the first half. Was bad play, bad decisions about how to react. You know, I will give him credit, or I will give somebody credit for getting his head on straight during the second half. But even then, look, there's a certain personality type that goes along with being a wide receiver, and there's a level of flamboyance that goes along with it. But you also have to be game aware and know when you can do certain things and when it's just time to buckle down and get to business. And I know he's going to hear about that in the locker room moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. Nearly had the fumble. It was another kind of comedy of errors type of way the game went. I'm looking up and down the roster. Let's pull this out real quick, too, once again. I'd mentioned this. I tweeted it. I think we said it on the last show. I don't want to belabor it too long, but, well, you had a couple things going on here. I'm looking at the offense first. John LeGlue gets a start, but then they pulled him for Rashad Coward, and Rashad Coward wasn't doing very good either. And then LeGlue comes back out and had some key blocks, including the one Najee TD. And I know Najee gets behind Derek Watt, but LeGlue comes out and seals the edge on that, which was a real nice block. There were, even early in the game, I thought the run blocking with behind LeGlue was all right. But now it got me to thinking this much, at least, Brian. I'm like, is Dan Moore's problem the guy who's been playing next to him? Because it seems like the run blocking with Dan Moore, all of a sudden he looks like more of a mauler when LeGlue is out there. And I'm not saying there's little microcosms of this throughout the game. It's not consistent by any means, but it's enough for me to peek in the window and say, oh, gee, I never really considered that. I've been piling on this guy, and maybe he's just had his hands full because he doesn't have very good help next to him, because good help is hard to find. So I've been calling Ray McLeod Antonio McLeod sometimes, based off
hell of a catch. That was he had a hell of a nice catch.
He's had some just wild plays, and I know he's being relied upon more than usual, but looking like a fine player as of late. So I can't complain about him too much. When I go over to the defense, yes, Adams, finally, maybe you got somebody who could eat up some blocks. You lose Watt, but the point is that Adams wasn't even on this roster. It's been 10 days. Has it been 10 days? He was added a week ago this Tuesday. So, 9 days. And he's playing better than, they haven't been able to get Carlos Davis on the field too much, Isaiah Buggs, whoever else you try and throw out there. And he's done, Henry Mondow, he's done better. And maybe they found a guy there, which would be a nice pick.
I don't know what was going on with these guys in the first half, but man, Mondow was getting blown the F up multiple times, just getting absolutely blown back off the line, not even contested. It looked bad. It was a very bad look. And they just played so god awful on defense in that first half.
And then you lose TJ as part of that too. And it's like, okay, you got Taco Charlton and Derek Tuska. We've mentioned this before. Chris Wormley wasn't meant to start this season. Devin Bush still hasn't found himself post-injury. I don't know what's going on with him yet. And then you got like Ahkello Witherspoon in this lineup. Marcus Allen, I don't think I've seen him all year. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to actually look it up right now, because I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wait a second. I don't know that he's played a defensive snap. He's been active. He's been on special teams. And I don't honestly think he's played the whole season. And there were a number of instances where they were bringing him in to dot the I of that defense. Basically, instead of having Devin Bush or Joe Schobert out there, they were trying to do this with Robert Spillane, who was inactive. Is he on the COVID list, or is he hurt, or is it both? I know that flipped around. Both. Yeah. I know it flipped around. Wrong Marcus Allen. Not the good one. Ooh, did I say that out loud? Anyway, yeah. Ooh, man, kitchen's getting a little hot, man. So Yeah, exactly, precisely 0 snaps the entire season for him to be playing inside linebacker in there. And he was missing some gap assignments, missed a tackle, and that's where a lot of this large stuff is getting up to, where Minka has to make like a shoestring tackle to make sure this doesn't bust loose, which didn't always happen, or there wasn't enough room in the one case because Cook just ends up in the end zone. So, yeah, Marcus Allen, I mean, the point is there's a number of names here that, combined with, during the offseason, a lot of people were saying, fire this guy, cut this guy. I feel that, like, when they lost Steven Nelson, or when they were losing Mike Hilton and they brought Cam Sutton back, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be Steven Nelson, Joe Hayden, Cam Sutton. That's solid. And then we're like, uh-oh, Steven Nelson's gone. Okay, Sutton can fill in for there, but who's filling in for Hilton? Bud Dupree, we were hoping he would be filled in for Highsmith. Okay, you're replacing one or two players here. Vince Williams retires. They trade for Joe Schobert. Yeah, this looks pretty good. But now you don't have Stephon Tuitt. Now you don't have Tyson Alualu. Then you're losing T.J. Watt. Then you're losing Highsmith in the game, and you haven't had Joe Hayden for 4 games. That's a lot. It's not the defense of last year. It's the reason the reason they have these big holes like Swiss cheese in the defense and giving up the most yards and points and every other darn thing.
Definitely
particularly over the last 4 games. Yeah, and everybody's going to say this is an NFL-level player, and it's like, well, to some degree, a backup is, a backup.
There's a reason they're a backup.
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, they just and I'm not going to exempt anybody, because TJ was just as guilty of this. Highsmith was as guilty of it. Cam was guilty of it. They just did not play gap solid in that first half at all. They were across the boards, even when you had the guys you expect to have. They just played sloppy as hell. And they have done that at times this year. I think, maybe the solution to this is we just have to tell them that the first half is actually the second half, and let them believe, okay, it's the second half. Oh, by the way, there's now a third half. We're starting in the second half.
Hey, offense, it's the fourth quarter. You know what to do now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a big problem too, man. What was it, like 5 punts? The graphic that went up before this just popped off and became a totally different game was like 5 punts, interception, turnover on downs, or end of half.
And I got to talk about that interception, because people are going to blame that interception on Ben. That interception is on Deontay Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
And I've said this 6 to 10 times during this season. I love Deontay Johnson. I love the kid. He has got to fight for the damn ball. He cannot. He does that. He gives up on plays and doesn't help his quarterback. He's got to do better with that. That just drives me nuts when I see it, because people are going to go, oh, Ben throws a bad ball. No, Ben threw a ball to give his receiver a chance. His receiver didn't even try to do anything about it, and it ends up, it was it was a bobble pick, but nonetheless, you got to do more than just go,
For as much as the Vikings dominated this game, and I don't care to, most of the first half, I've already told you what you need to know. A missed field goal by the Vikings, then a missed field goal by the Steelers in a dome, and you said, it must have been the wind. And then Greg Joseph misses
the wind. Yeah,
he misses a PAT also, but the Steelers missed field goal, punt, end of half. These were, the first drive was 11 plays, 36 yards. They got penalized. That kind of stalled things a little bit. 3 plays for 8 yards, 3 plays for -6, 3 for -4, 5 for 9, and 2 for 23. You got to do more than that, even with the pieces. Okay, say I'm making excuses for the defense because you've got a lot of different pieces out there, and pieces you didn't plan on having in the offseason, in camp, and where you're at right now. You can't do this even if you had last year's guys in full health.
Yeah.
It's still, maybe they don't give up big plays or something. I don't know. Justin Jefferson's probably going to get his one way or another before they figure it out. Things like that are going to happen, but geez, oh man, missed field goal, then it was a touchdown, a field goal, touchdown, and then finally the only punt of the first half by the Vikings and former Steeler Jordan Berry, which his punts were a lot better than our thick kicker guy that I was wondering, Brian, they added a long snapper and a punter to the practice squad on a short week, no less.
He had You are kicking. Did somebody not explain it? You're kicking in a damn dome. Just kick the ball.
Easy for you to say.
I mean, come on. Look, I can do 38-yard punts. I'm sorry. And I won't look quite as fat.
Well, I probably could too, to be honest. I wonder if I could with all of the pressure but all other elements aside, and you just give me the Duke, the NFL football. I think I
couldn't
kick
catch
30.
The snap. I would miss the snap. I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't catch the
practice.
snap.
I think a little practice. I think I could probably hit 40 yards easy. I know, like in my youth, I was a soccer player and I was a goalkeeper, so I used to boot the ball midfield easy. And we're talking soccer field on a lot of the football fields. We're talking 120 yards in length. So I'm probably kicking the ball a good 40 to 50.
And let me also
clue
you in. I'd get one. Like I could kick one 38-yard punt, and I'd be done. The rest of the night.
Now at my age,
my hamstring.
Yeah, now at my age, I'm going to hurt the back, and then forget about the 3 days before playing a Thursday night. I'm out, for an extended period of time. Put me on short-term IR. So this comes back around though. The Steelers, they get the ball to start the half. It's a punt and then an interception. The defense actually holds them to a field goal, and it's 29-0, and you're just kind of like, man, okay, just put us all out of our misery, I guess. So
had they scored one more time with us doing nothing, I would have come down here and done more work. I'd have worked. I'd have been like, I'll put it on down here, and I just won't pay attention because it's making me sick.
I was trying to figure out how we were even going to do a show. And then with the mini buy, we have to produce content for the website. I mean, these things start to get like real. Like, hey, we put up a play or two usually during, the week, some highlights over on steelcityunderground.com. I'm like, I don't have one single thing that we can use. Coin toss? Like, I'm starting to joke with Tina about, let's start putting out blank articles. Let's see if people even click on these things. The game ball article was going to be, this was actually Ryan's idea because we went to the Bengals game, right? So Ryan Lippert, who's with us and writes for a few other sites as well, he was like, why don't you just put up like instead of a photo, just a black graphic, just completely pitch black, and say game balls. And then we'll see how many people actually complain about it in the comments without clicking through and reading when it is just a blank article. So we're going to test your mettle for those of you who actually visit, don't just pay attention to the podcast, but visit the website.
I like it.
We're going to test you. It's not even April Fools. It's December Fools. So these guys, they get the ball, 6:15 left. And it's like, okay, now it's time for the 10 plays, 75-yard touchdown, and we get a nice little pass to Najee Harris, who's been who's at this point the only guy that I was even considering giving a game ball because he had been putting in the extra effort. He's been the only fresh breath of air. He actually ends the game 20 carries, 94 yards on the ground, and then he adds 3 catches for 10 yards and an extra touchdown. So he got 2 touchdowns, one on the ground, one in the air. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. If anybody deserves it, it's him. Pat his stats a little bit. I'm like, why don't we just start pulling everyone out and I'm really worried somebody else is going to get hurt. And then the very first play, Kirk Cousins gets picked. And I'm like, okay,
yeah,
you got my attention now. You got my attention. Let's see what we could do, what the Steelers could do with this. Because Minnesota, do I have this too? Let me see. Line of scrimmage began. Okay, they're 25, they're 39, they're 43, to 22, they're 22, they're 40, they're 12. The Steelers 34 and the Steelers 30, which surprisingly is where the defense, I don't know if they just got more conservative on Minnesota's end or the defense actually did something or a little bit of a hodgepodge of both, but they held them to a field goal on both of those very short fields. And then it started to go backwards here with Minnesota at their 25, 3 in a row, which were an interception punt, and then they ended up scoring on the 1 and then on their 39. So they had great field position the entire game compared to the Steelers. Steelers start on their 43 from the missed field goal. It was the 25-25, the 19, the 25, their 33, the 12, the 15, the 25. And then as the turnovers came, Minnesota 42, their own 31. the 25, which was the punt that was coming. And it was like, that was the one where Troy Aikman said, hey, it did him a favor. But the Steelers get back on the board here. It was only like 2 minutes, and they scored 7 plays, 42 yards, 2 minute, 14-second drive, only 8 seconds off the clock into the fourth quarter, and it's 29-14. It's a 15-point game, and I'm like, well, let's see. Can the defense get a 3-and-out here? And by God, did they ever. Now, Jordan Berry gets a nicer punt. I'm like, come on, you jerk. Do what you used to do in Pittsburgh and shank one. It didn't happen. Didn't need to. 3 plays. A very nice 69 yards, 1 minute, 6 seconds. Now all of a sudden it's 9 points. Some people are like complaining about this, Brian, about going for 2. I don't mind it here. It's an either or. It's an either or.
Yeah.
There's 2 schools of thought, like they say.
You either know you're going to have to go for 2 scores or you know you're not, right? It's almost better to know in advance. But, they talked about it on the broadcast too, and Troy Aikman was like, I don't like it. I don't really care. I was fine with it. It just was what it was, right? I was fine with it. At some point you had to do it. It's one of those things you're just always going to second guess, right? If they go for it, get it, everybody thinks it's great. If they go for it, miss it, oh, you should have just kicked the extra point and gone for it later. Whatever. Well, I'm not bitching about that.
Okay, that was capped off, by the way, with Najee running behind LeGlue and Derek Watt. This was straight up like I formation, like they had Watt right there. So 1 yard run, looked like he was ready to jump, didn't need to.
That's the next one, isn't it?
No, this was the beginning of the fourth quarter. Yeah, this was Najee ran here. He caught the pass.
Right.
On the prior one. Yeah. Yep. Flip them inside out and upside down. But anyways, the 3-and-out. Now we're getting to that 3-play 69 yards. This was James Washington who caught this, and I'm just like,
that was a again, the 37-yard pass for Deontay. Then the next pass, Ben threw good balls the vast majority of the night, right? Yes, he missed Deontay once in the end zone. It wasn't a great throw. But he also hit Deontay, and he should have caught it one other time. But, so there's that combination. But I'm going to tell you, more than not, way more, he was throwing nice balls.
Oh, man. And then some of the catches on this, Claypool has the one near the end.
I did not even know he caught that
I just thought it was was the flag, and they showed the replay. I'm like, exactly. He caught that?
I'm like, holy crap.
That's not what you said on Twitter.
That's not what I tweeted. I did not say that on Twitter. You're right.
Holy yeah.
Holy
Unfortunately, though, Kirk Cousins, they end up getting some more points here. It was 29-20. And this was KJ Osborne, 62 yards.
Yeah, there's going to be people who are going to look good there.
No, he didn't, and I feel like he was just as slow moving in spots as well all night. Justin Jefferson's a handful. Just look at let's look at everybody he's played against. There's no denying that guy's talent. That was mentioned
absolutely
as much as we could in the last show. Cam was filling in the back end too, kind of playing that. What do they call that? There's a term for it where Joe Hayden does it. He used to do it a lot, where he would play basically the center fielder, right, as far as the secondary, as far as almost filling in a safety role from the cornerback position. That's not what happened on this particular one.
No.
But it did happen earlier. And more than once. And teams have taken advantage of the Steelers so many times. Robbie Anderson, touchdown a couple years ago with the Jets or whatever. That was that play. Kevin Hogan, I think AFC Championship game in 2016. I can remember them pretty vividly. And in fact, I remember one with Jordan Dangerfield, in fact. But anyways, that was this was the heartbreaker because it was 36-20, and you would hope that Sutton or somebody could have done something a little more in this. I actually think the one that was maybe more of a heartbreaker comes a little bit later, but we mentioned the two interceptions. The one was tipped by Devin Bush. He was in good position and good coverage. And then Okello just mans up and steals the other one. And I wish he could have just taken it to the house, but hey, I'll take it. I'll take it as it is. And that's what's going to end up coming up right after this, because you go up 36-20. The Steelers get the ball, and it's just that they're 25 and Najee for 3 yards, Najee for 6, and then 3rd and 1. And he can't even get the one. They're going to come back out there, and for whatever reason, if you're going to give not game balls in this game, Kendrick Green, people are complaining he's not a center. I don't know what his deal was. He had earplugs in or something, but it's just he was not.
How many times you just saw Ben clapping until his hands were going to get raw, screaming basically.
Looked like that monkey, the little toy with the symbols, And
this is another perfect example of what people complained about last season with Pounce, right? When in the season where Ben didn't play, and everybody was like, "Oh, Pounce's snaps are all over the place. It's terrible. It's awful." Ben gets those, right? Pouncey's always snapped that way. He snapped that way all the time. He would always have a bad snap, but Ben usually gets them. But how? I mean, all night long.
Let's explain how that's bad for the offense too. When it's not here, you can't hide the football for play action, or an RPO where you pull it out of Najee's belly. It's up here already, and now you have to bring it down, which delays everything. It delays the run blocking if it's a run play. It delays Najee getting a full head of steam to hit the line.
Delays going into your progressions if you're trying to. I mean, you can't scan the field. You can't do anything.
Let's rewind for a second. I had one play. I did have one play that Tina and I came up with. And it didn't end up becoming a play because of the flag.
Right, I know which one you're talking about.
But it's the one that bounces off of Ben, off the snap, bounces off of Najee and back to Ben, and then somehow throws it to Antonio McLeod. I'm just going to keep calling him that. Or Ray-Tonio. Got a lot of similarities, as does Deontay, to be completely honest. I think Deontay's my dude going forward. You're not going to get them all, and it's unfortunate because of what happens with Pat Freiermuth later too. He has that in his hands, man, and he just gets tattooed at the end of the game.
But my Ravens friend tweeted Heath would have caught that.
Oh, get out of town!
I'm just going to tell you, he isn't wrong. He's not wrong.
He would have had to get his body into that. Though.
Ball was perfect.
The ball was. But Heath would have gotten hit by two. Well, this post injury Heath would not have caught that, because I think post injury Heath had a little bit in his head.
Yes. Pre-injury Heath, that ball's caught.
That's why he retired when he did.
Yeah.
I think if he doesn't get hurt, he probably plays in the league a few more years. But where we at? Steelers end up punting because of the delay of game, and Harvin. 34 yards. I posed the question about the practice squad specialists when Boswell missed the field goal, because I said, well, he missed an extra point last week, and I started to think, I'm like, was there some bad exchange here on the snap to the hold or something like that? Because they brought in the long snapper too, and I was like, oh geez, there's something maybe amiss here. I'm not sure exactly what. Maybe I missed it. Somebody in the comments can set me straight, but that was just my observation. But anyways, Kirk Cousins goes for Osborne again here, and Okello Weatherspoon, because they had gotten a first down. They get to choose some more time, and Witherspoon gets 41 yards out of this and runs out of gas. And I'm like, okay, I'm hoping these guys could do something. And 2 plays later, 44 seconds total off the clock here, Ben finds Pat Freiermuth wide open as Bashaud Breeland falls to the ground. The 2-point conversion is good here, and you've got an 8-point game. And you're like, well, you're saying there's a little bit of a chance maybe the Steelers, can they get the ball back here? And there was an instance, is this the one? No, this happened earlier, but there was a play, I think it was right before this actually. Yeah, Kirk Cousins scrambled, and that was right before
that
Witherspoon.
That was just a killer.
Interception. Man, and it was like they finally just had him bottled up because they got a goose egg in the sacks category for the team that's leading the league in sacks heading into this game. That's a big disappointment. But when you're missing 2 of your edge rushers, again, same thing that happened earlier in the year when they couldn't get to go to Joe Burrow, who I think he's more mobile than Kirk Cousins is. But that was a bit of a killer. Dalvin Cook gets bottled up. It was this 8-yard pass, and then another 12-yard pass, and then there was a penalty for holding, and it was the 12-yard pass on 2nd and 21 with Arthur Millette. I don't know what any of these guys were doing in the secondary. They were completely lost. They end up giving up 17 yards on the 3rd and 9. And then they've used the timeout, and you got the 2-minute warning approaching. And for everyone who wants to talk about Mike Tomlin and handling the clock, this is the example here where it was done extremely well, damn near to perfection.
There's nothing you can do. This is where we start to complain about Chase again, because there's nothing you can do about the guys being idiots.
Yeah, well, I'm saying is 2:38 Madison, they're going to try and use Madison to choose some clock here, and they run off 4 seconds and 4 seconds and 4 seconds. They only lose, so from the time that they end up losing a little bit of time because of the first down, but after the first down at 2:38, this ball is snapped for Jordan Berry's punt at 2:26.
Yeah.
They lose 12 seconds. So Mike Tomlin using those timeouts, and now they still have the 2-minute warning. And now you've got 2:16. You got Najee gets out. He only uses 5 seconds. Then you have this ridiculous Claypool catch with the pass interference for 38 yards, and you're like, oh, dear. My ticker can't take this. And then it's 2:05 here, and then Leglue gets the illegal block in the back. A little bit of a killer there, and forced from the 50-yard line. So they would have this backs them up to the Steelers to their own 40. They would have been at Minnesota's 43. It takes them. This goes into the 2-minute warning now, Brian. It takes them almost a full. It takes them over a full minute. They're down to 42 seconds when they get back to the 43 again. And it took a 4th and 1 play to Claypool in order to further facilitate this. And of course, you go from 134 to 107 to 42, and then 42 down to 25 when Ben clocks it.
Yep.
It sucks. So despite what happened with Claypool and his little celebration, Leglue's illegal block in the back. This says block above the waist. He shoved him in the back.
Yeah, he did. He
touched
him in the back, and it was unnecessary.
That hurt as much.
Yeah,
that hurt as much as anything here. So as much as I liked everything else to happen, and it was one of those, oh man, I just did that, and he threw his hands up knowing he was guilty, and it's just like that's never going to work. If anything, you've just alerted the police to your bank robbery. Ben still finds Ray. He tries to get to James Washington. Deontay nearly runs the clock out trying to make something out of nothing there. I think they thought they had that slant. The blockers didn't get out in front. There was Claypool and perhaps Pat Freiermuth over there. I'm not sure who the other guy was, but there were 2 white jerseys, and they didn't get out in front because if the convoy ends up getting there, who knows? He may have been able to stretch that a little more. They were down to the 12, and then of course Pat Freiermuth, as we were saying, gets hit by Harrison Smith and the other safety, gets tattooed there. And it was right in his hands, and then he's getting kind of like pulled down at the same time. It's like it's right there. Oh, they would have still had to make a 2-point conversion and go into OT.
Absolutely, there's no given with even if he catches the ball. There's no given that you make the 2 points. You're talking about when you spot a team 29 points, you're going to lose the game. It's just, it isn't, there's not really any 2 ways to think about it. They've never come back from that high. What's the record in the NFL? It's not, you can't start that bad. The fact that they got close, the fact that they got hot in the second half, it's nice. I'm not even going to call it a moral victory, but it shows that they have the capabilities. And I'm going to bring up something to you here. They no huddled most of that quarter.
Yeah.
And while Ben has said that means it's not just him calling plays, that Canada's in his ear, sometimes saying stuff while he's doing it. I'm going to say that's Ben protecting his offensive coordinator. That's Ben calling most of those plays. Most. I'm not going to say all, but most.
Maybe he's calling the plays, but they're still Canada's plays because
they are. But
I'm trying to explain to people
running.
there's not enough time for him without a huddle to say Deontay.
Well, he's not making up plays.
Well, people think he's
sometimes
drawing it right in the dirt.
Sometimes he does, but that's the exception, not the rule. Right? They are our plays in our playbook. I agree with you. They're Matt Canada's plays. What I'm saying is Ben has a better feel for how to run the offense than Matt Canada.
Well, when he gets to the line and he's trying to make those adjustments and then Kendrick Green doesn't snap the ball, of course, but he's making probably just one adjustment, if not two. That's probably the most that he has. Now, the headset cuts off at 15 on the play clock, I believe, so you can't talk to him the whole time. So you got to get that call in, and then he's got to relay this to everyone else. And then you're trying to rush this, and he gets up to the line. Okay, and then he's going to do. I got the wrong hand here, but the bullhorns or whatever, and that's going to tell Claypool or Deontay, okay, instead of maybe this out route, maybe you're doing a flag route or something, or you're doing a quick slant or something. There's something that's changed there at the line of scrimmage, and that's happening on probably every play for the most part. I mean, we know Omaha and Dilly Dilly and everything like that. That's precisely what's going on there too. So, and honestly too, I think Ben, I noticed is somewhere here. I don't think it was it around the 2-minute warning? It might've been. I know for sure he called 2 plays in the huddle.
Yeah.
He definitely called 2 plays, and those guys got to remember that. So that's happening. So it's just a matter of, I'll agree. The execution.
And I'm not down on Matt Canada. I just think,
I'm not at all.
Not at all. It's just, I think, look, what they're doing in the normal circumstances of play is not working very well. Right? So maybe it's time to just say, guess what? We're going to run hurry up all game long.
I have a problem with that only because of the defense. But if you can get it going and then you get some of the run game going. So that's part of the problem. Somebody's going to be like, 3rd and 1, and you just ran Najee Harris over to the left side, and wow, that didn't work. Oh, this offensive coordinator stinks. Well, the guys aren't executing. You got your guys on the left side of the line, and you got a bad snap, and you got
just brutal.
Just so many different elements to this where what the heck is the offensive coordinator going to do when the players can't play? They can't get anything done. So, oh God, Brian, I just saw this. It's worth noting because it's like, you would think the way we're talking that there isn't anything wrong going on here, but Dalvin Cook, 27 carries, 205 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The most in the NFL this year. That's totally on Steelers-like, and it is still because they don't have the bodies that they need on defense, and when they do, they don't tackle, and there's wide open lanes. You can drive a Mack truck through it. It's just that's disappointing stuff, and that's the only reason I think they don't attempt to do anything like a no huddle. But at the same time, people are like, "Oh, it's the same thing as Randy Fichtner." No, I'm sorry, this isn't just these little dump off screen passes and all these little short pass games. But I think the difference too with the no huddle is there's a couple of varieties of things that happen here. Number one is the defense cannot substitute. So you get some mismatches on the field.
Yeah,
you're getting them a little tired. I don't know if I mentioned this. I was listening to NFL radio, and I can't remember who it was that was talking about it, but they were talking about the Broncos-Panthers Super Bowl. And I forget who. I could probably look and see who the offensive coordinator was for that game. But they said they always passed on first down and then ran on second down. They used a different type of strategy. Everybody's like, run on first down and wear down. Now, the pass game could wear down the defenses too, because these guys got to go and run and try and keep up with some of these speedsters, keep up with the Deontay Johnson or chase the guy down. Now you can get back to the line of scrimmage and Ben snapping it real quick and boom, 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 boom. And just as long as they're able to do some playground type stuff where everybody knows the calls, you got some rookies, they might not, the offensive linemen might not, and things like that. So I think there are some elements to that, but I think the substitutions and wearing down the defense, I think that works. On the other hand, you see what happened with Chip Kelly when they brought him into the league and it was that high-tempo offense. He just wore his offense out. And then the defense got worn out too because the offense, they might have scored in like 6 plays and it only took 48 seconds off the clock. So now the defense has only had 2 minutes of real time to get water and some fresh air and has to come back on the field.
Well, but let's also remember, this is not, when we're talking about no huddle with the Steelers, we're not talking about Chip Kelly's offense.
No.
Look, they ran no huddle and we just complained about how lack of urgency hurt them in running the no huddle, right? It's not that rapid fire. So
I know. I'm just trying to say, like, this is
but
what
I get what you're saying.
People ask of the Steelers to do, and there's, sometimes some real, like, against the Ravens, you want to choose some clock. You don't really want to put the ball in, like, Lamar Jackson's hands again, and it's the same thing when you're going to play the Chiefs. There are certain teams like that where you want. This is the way the Patriots beat the Bills by only attempting 3 passes from your favorite doughboy. And everybody's still like, oh, hey, look, see how they're doing it with this rookie guy. And I'm like, they don't let him throw the ball. They don't let him throw it downfield either. And that's where it's different from the Randy Fichtner stuff. So I'm not on Matt Canada in that particular instance. But the Steelers don't have like the offensive line, and they don't have like a stable of running backs like the Patriots do to do that.
So bad
to do that same stuff. You were hoping the interior line would be strong, and I still think when they add a piece or two next year, I think it'll be improved, and these guys will have some experience, and they'll have a full off season and coming off from college and things like that. But it really makes me wonder. It does make me wonder. Maybe Leglue gets a shot next year at one of these spots. You never know. This is how some of these guys get discovered that are undrafted. The Steelers have had plenty of undrafted or low-pick linemen in the past. Kelvin Beachum was a 7th-round pick. Alejandro Villanueva wasn't even playing as a tackle. He was playing defensive end for the Eagles. Mm-hmm. You find guys like that maybe, and you find the right fit for them. So maybe that's it. Maybe Adams is one of those guys. I'm not saying it's absolutely perfect. A lot of people are like, tear it down. It's a total rebuild. You'll see all of these comments, and unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with them longer now because the next game is a little bit further away, and it's painful. We'll see programming note-wise. You still got Helmet Worthy coming, so you're going to have to mention that. But
I will. I'll mention that nobody has said anything. So far, apparently, no one believes that they are helmet worthy. Either that or nobody feels that they're worthy of this wonderful Jeff Reed helmet. I don't know what it is, but
we'll try to put it out there a little more.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if somebody feels they're helmet worthy. I have a plea to the fans. This is my plea to the fans. Right now, as it stands, there are 2 more home games that Ben is going to play at. 2. Titans, Browns. Right? That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Show up. This is the last 2 games this guy, who is a Hall of Fame quarterback, who's given you 2 Super Bowl victories, who has set every passing franchise record that you could ask for, who's given you some of the biggest thrills of your lives. Show up.
Potentially his last 2 games.
Potentially. But, I mean, as it stands right now, if nothing were to change, if they don't get up in the standings, I don't care if they stink the place out the last couple games. I don't care if they get walloped by the Titans.
Which I'm going to say,
up.
Show
up.
I don't think that's going to happen, provided we don't have all these guys joining the groin club. I think if they play this game on Sunday, they beat the Vikings. I think it's a little bit different of a game, even defensively. I don't know what the Titans are going to throw at them, and it's still I don't want to look this far off from that, but I think the Titans game is a winnable game. You got 4 more games left, and you got a 6-6-1 record. You have Mike Tomlin, who has never been below 500. Will they lose 3 of those 4? They could, but they've already beaten Cleveland, and they've already beaten Baltimore. Yep. So, and I know Baltimore, well, they're both close games, but Cleveland isn't exactly playing the best. Neither of them are playing good football right now. The Chiefs are, and the Titans are somewhere in limbo because they have a good record, but they lost Derrick Henry, and that was a large part of their success early on. So you still got an opportunity here. I don't think they win out. I thought 10 games could win the AFC North. Now, here's the unfortunate side effect of that. If you're not winning 10 games, you're not winning the AFC North. Both of those components. There may only be one playoff team coming out of the AFC North. and it's going to be whoever wins it, because there's just a lot of other stuff going on in all these other divisions with teams that have 6 wins. The Steelers, I felt, needed this one. It puts their back against the wall a little bit more, but we've already talked about what some of the other schedules look like, and we've got some other show and stuff to do. Maybe we'll get something early next week, a little potpourri or whatever, because I'm sure maybe I'll get the hate mail thing, like the late night TV. I'll pull out like all the bad tweets. There was a guy that already he tweeted at me with the white surrender flag like in the third quarter, and I came back, I was like, you were saying? And it was like, no, I totally get it, man, because I was jamming on the little heart favorite button on the Twitter. I was like, yeah, I already like this. It's sad, but I didn't let this work. There's games that worked me up, trust me. And like if I go back, some other games worked me up a little bit more, probably like the Raiders. The Bengals game earlier, and both Bengals games didn't work me up as much as they probably worked up other people, especially when it sucks because you get kicked in the gut this last one, and it was just like, well, what else are you going to do? I'm just sitting here, I don't even have time to think about it. And then you got games like the Chargers game. That game really did kick me in the gut, but then they came back, and then it was like, well, there it is. I was like, Trey Norwood gets beat or whatever, Minka isn't playing. And you have a lot of this same stuff. And it's just, I just wish that they were like a full complement of this team ever, because then I have to hear the media people talk about, well, this isn't like the Steelers defense usually is. Well, that's because it's not the Steelers defense. That's like a preseason defense in a lot of instances here. And I'm not even talking just specifically this game, but over the course of a lot of other games, it's, you talk up TJ Watt as maybe a potential MVP. And I'll tell you this too, if he does still end up breaking Michael Strahan's record, then he needs 6.5 sacks. Yeah, I think he deserves it. There's like no contest here whatsoever. It's unfortunate he can't stay healthy. It has nothing to do with money, and they're going to put him in street clothes too because they don't want him to get hurt. He's too much of an investment that you need for this final stretch of 4 games, which 17-game season now. So now you've got more potential for injury and other shenanigans too. So,
yeah, absolutely. There was at some point in your little tirade, I was going to say something, but now I don't remember what it was.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I got on.
It's okay.
I got on a roll because I was ready.
Was.
Well, I had another train of thought. I was ready to wrap the show, so that's why I went where I went. But
it's all good.
It was helmet worthy. How are we helmet worthy again?
We are helmet worthy by telling us why you're helmet worthy. But I want video. That's what I want. I want you to take a video. You've got this thing. It's called a phone, but nobody uses it as a phone. Instead, you use it to take Instagram pictures of yourself and to look
they're
at
called
it
selfies.
Play games.
They're called
selfies. Whatever the hell they're called. It's it's this. They look like this, right? They look like this right here, and it's a phone, but you can take a video on it. Wow,
moving pictures
on the phone and discuss in the movie that you're making why you are helmet worthy. If you don't tweet, that's fine. Email us the video. We don't care. I just want video. If you tweet it at us. If you're Facebook it at us. I don't care.
There's all kinds of ways to do it.
Just get us the video.
Find a way to do it.
Somebody do it. At this point, if one person does it, unless I hate what you have to say, you probably win.
And this contest is not open or eligible to employees of Steel City Underground and their family members. So it's just, we'll have to throw something like that out there, too.
That's correct.
We're losing our minds. It's well past our old man bedtimes. So
holy crud, it's 1 a.m.
Check out the... yeah, you say that now. Like, hopefully, I'm able to get all of this work done. Somebody's not seeing this. Like, hey, this new video came out at noon because Joe fell asleep at the computer trying to get this out.
Just because we recorded at 1 a.m. doesn't mean we publish at 1 a.m. Okay?
No, that's what most people don't realize. I'm already half awake half the time we're doing this early in the morning sometimes, and we've got the Foco pajamas. Don't forget about those great folks over there. They sell lots of other cool stuff. A lot of limited edition bobbleheads. So
yeah. I still have my Foco Steelers light up dirty stupid sweater thing that Christmassy crap.
Are they still doing those this year?
It is a frighteningly too big sweater for me now. It is humongous on me. But
Man, they got all kind of cool stuff. They got like almost like the UGG boots for the ladies. So the ladies that are listening, we don't have as many ladies listening as I would perhaps like. But headbands, those don't work well for me because the top of the lid is open and I have no hair. So that was funny too. Dalvin Cook gets tackled by his hair, and Troy Aikman's like, "Well, that can't feel good. Not that I would know." And I was like,
I would know.
I could sympathize with you, man. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I see any gifts for him. There's slippers. There's all kinds of stuff. I don't know if they still do the light up sweater thing. To be completely honest, they've got like ponchos, or like the actual poncho, not like a rain poncho, but like almost like a Sherpa type, like the Snuggie. They got those type of things too. But anyways, you can go over there and find it. It was just a matter of I needed to support the sponsor. I needed to plug them. If you'd like to support us, we got a little button for that over at SteelCityUnderground.com as well. Might as well throw that out. Got a bunch of new shirts, Brian. I'm going to try and work on your grown-ass man design here sometime for the weekend and get that out too. But we've got some new ones, and one of them I started the show with was called Ride or Die.
I saw it.
Yeah, just click off the Amazon or the TeePublic stores that we have there, and you can support Steel City Underground, get those in time for Christmas. And our 1%ers, we love you, even if you don't buy something. That's okay, too. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We actually went longer than we wanted to, but I think we covered enough bases with this game. Yeah, disappointing. It's always disappointing when the Steelers lose, but it is a fact of life that there is going to be one team that wins, one team that loses, unless you play the Lions. So then nobody wins, and then nobody loses. Everybody goes and gets Dairy Queen.
It's a participation trophy. James Harrison would be so proud.
Yeah, this is it's such a wacky season, and the fact of the matter is that for as many people that were throwing dirt on the Steelers already, they're still not out of this thing entirely. They may not be the worst team in the division, certainly not in the conference. And if this is what you call a rebuild, then I think it'll still be bright looking forward. Just depends on a variety of other things, including the quarterback position. But for everybody that's out there, go get Kenny Pickett. Pump the brakes, man. I ain't talking about that stuff until like late February or early March. I'm not.
Yeah.
I won't be talking about that. Well, I might be talking about it a little earlier, and I would like, just because if the Steelers don't make the playoffs, then we have even less to talk about. But we'll talk about everybody else in the playoffs, and then we'll get to it. So I'm not. I hate throwing dirt on Ben Roethlisberger, and I hate jumping off of the moving train, to use Mike Tomlin-ism there. So, folks, I told you to already like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully, you're not watching this at 3 a.m. or whenever it might get up there on the interwebs. Hopefully, you've gotten some rest and you're not as wackadoodle crazy as what we're getting into right now. So we'll let that be. And like I said, hopefully downplayed a little bit of the expectation. I think it's like you're riding real high because you had that Ravens victory. Look last year. You know what? I didn't bring this up. One last point, Brian. Who'd they play after the Ravens game last year? The first one. Actually, both of those games, to be completely honest with you. The first one was the Dallas Cowboys on the road in Dallas with Garrett Gilbert. And everyone was complaining, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they beating the snot out of this backup quarterback, this and that? Because they were doggone tired, and that was on a full week. The other one was the delayed COVID reschedule shenanigans that saw a game played on Wednesday afternoon. They win that game. And then they have to play on another short week, Monday at 5 o'clock, another weird time. So the other game was like at 3:30 or 3:40 or something. 5 o'clock against the Washington football team, and that resulted in their first loss. So give that some food for thought. And I'm sure if I go back, and I'm not going to because this has gone on for too long, you could find these instances all the time. And you can even look at the same thing with teams that play the Steelers or play the Ravens. They end up, look at the Bengals last week, right? Bengals come off a big emotional win over the Steelers and then drop a game to the Chargers. They actually got kind of throttled by the Chargers from the start, from the jump there, in their own building against the West Coast team for a 1 o'clock kickoff. This is the stuff that happens in this league. We can't make all of this up. So I just
can't make any of it up.
I would like them to be undefeated, but I just know that's not realistic. So I try not to live in misery, and I try to take the good with the bad. So this was, at least the way they finished this game was palatable, and you had to wish that they could string 4 quarters together like this. This team would be pretty darn good. It's the only thing that's
I guess we should just look at it as they're growing and learning.
That's not good enough.
It's not. I'm with you because it chase my posterior. I don't want to actually, grow and learn on your own damn time.
Well, I'm going to end the show like this. No, that was my celebration as we're getting down to the final seconds. So, bum. Anyways, fancy music to follow. My name's Joe. His name's Brian. As always, we encourage everyone out there to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.